Slenderman is a fictional supernatural character. Essentially, he's the internet boogeyman. He originated as a creepypasta internet meme on something awful forums. He was created by Eric Knudsen and is depicted as a thin, tall, lanky man with no face who wears a black suit, and sometimes he's got tentacles. Slenderman stories often include him stalking, traumatizing, or abducting people, especially children. But even though Slenderman is supposed to be fictional, he has been known to haunt dreams, thoughts, and even provoke people to commit heinous acts. You are about to hear the top 10 real Slenderman encounters you won't believe. Hello and welcome back to another InformOverload Top 10. I'm Charlotte Jobre. It is almost Halloween, so I wanted to bring in some spookier content for this week. Subscribe to stay up to date with all the biggest news headlines. Follow the IO team on social media so we can connect outside of YouTube, and don't forget to stick around until the end of the video where we do bonus content and feature some of your comments. So what I have compiled for this video is a combination of both encounters with Slenderman and also real life violent incidents that were said to be inspired by Slenderman. I gotta admit, I was a little afraid of researching this one. Hopefully Slenderman doesn't show up in my dreams. In at number 10, this is what happens when you look into Slenderman. A Reddit user shared this terrifying encounter. I was introduced to Slenderman a few months ago when some guy wanted to pull a prank on my friend. He asked for my help, but I didn't follow along and just left. He wanted to scare my friend with a Slenderman costume. I looked up the Slenderman and read through the mythos, ignoring the do not look deeply into the legend or he will find you warnings, and went on to marble hornets. I love the story and everything, but I had an uneasy feeling at night. I thought I might be psyching myself out, but then weird things started happening. My parents say I will be awake and talking to them for 4 hours before I actually wake up. They'll say I do things I didn't do. I'll make tea and see it's half empty when I wonder if they told the truth. My parents are honest people and I believe them, but it's impossible. A couple of nights ago, I felt like I was being watched, uncharacteristically. I looked out the window and saw a flash of white and black. That night I had a dream. I drew on a sheet of paper what I saw in the dream. I remember drawing this and I'm glad I did because I've forgotten the dream. And this was the photo that this person drew. In at 9, it turns out that Slenderman might actually have some roots in Native American culture. There have been sightings of a tall, hairy entity referred to as the Big Man or Walking Sam in Native American communities surrounding Wounded Knee. Wounded Knee is the place where in the year 1890, 150 to 200 men, women, and children were slaughtered by US troops. According to cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman's post on Crypto Mundo in 2009, a woman who was elderly but otherwise quite lucid described a big man in a tall hat who has appeared around the reservation and caused young people to commit suicide. She says that Walking Sam has been picked up on the police scanners, but the police have not been able to protect the community from him. She wanted help from Washington, D.C. with foot patrols with the tribal communities to protect them from Walking Sam. In at 8 on our list, he came into my room. Another Reddit user shared this encounter. It reads, "Had a nightmare that a black silhouette was slowly pulling my covers off. First my comforter, then the knit blanket, then my sheets to my waist before I freaked out and sat up. Nothing was there but the aforementioned blankets were pulled completely off and were on the floor at the foot of my bed. My sheet was at my waist. I woke up and rationalized that I must have kicked them off in my sleep. That is, until I felt a cold breeze. It was 17 Fahrenheit outside, and noticed my window, an open window from 1946 with the pathetic little latches, was wide open. My curtain pulled aside. I heard the brushes in my yard rustling and the dog barking like crazy. Got up, grabbed the gun, turned on the light, and bolted from my room saying nope, 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 nope in my head over and over and let the dog sleep with me." At number 7, the suicide spirit. Back in 2015, 5 people including adults and children committed suicide, according to the Oglala Sioux tribe. Officials say that at least one of the youth suicides was influenced by Slenderman, who was quote a tall faceless creature found on storytelling forums. The Sioux call him the tall man spirit or the suicide spirit. He appears to the youth and tells them to take their own lives. Among Native American youth, the suicide rate is more than twice the US national average for other ethnic groups. The tall man and the suicide spirit have existed in Native American culture before the internet was even a thing. In at 6, he looked like Voldemort. Reddit user Wits to posted this encounter to the Slenderman Reddit thread. "I'm currently an 18-year-old female and I live in Oklahoma City. This event occurred when I was 15, but it happened in the same location. My friend, I was with her at the time of the incident, lives in a fairly decent neighborhood that was 15 minutes walking distance from 7-Eleven. Her parents allowed us to make late night trips there for snacks on occasion. As you're walking down the street to 7-Eleven, there's a park to the left. All it has in it is weird statue things, but I was familiar with them. Mind you, it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. As we're walking by this park to the left, we could see this extremely tall figure. I recall it being as tall as the branches of the surrounding trees. He seemed to be dressed in all black and extremely pale. I'm an extremely logical person, so I wanted to validate it was just some strange tall person. I shouted repeatedly at this thing. After no response, we ran off as fast as possible and referred to this thing as Voldemort because of its paleness. It wasn't until 2 years later that my friend informed me of Slenderman, and I realized whatever I saw that night looked exactly like him. At number 5, another wave of suicides. In 2015, there was another epidemic of suicide attempts among Native American youth, only this time victims were 12 to 24 years old. The epidemic took place on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. According to an article by Odyssey, people as young as 12 years old were taking their lives out of fear of an urban legend coming to life. According to reports, tribal members were being encouraged by a man to take their own lives because they were not worthy of the company of others. He had been described as a 7-foot tall man that had no mouth and wanders the land at night, carrying the bodies of Lakota men and women. A pastor called John Two Bulls said he discovered a plan for a group of children to commit suicide together at a site outside of town. Luckily, they were caught before it could happen. At number 4 on our list, a second stabbing. An unidentified woman from Cincinnati, Ohio told a reporter that in June 2014, her 13-year-old daughter, who was obsessed with Slenderman, attacked her with a knife in the kitchen of their home. She said that her daughter had her hood up at the time, and her hands were covered with her sleeves, and she was wearing a white mask. The mother said that her daughter's writings and drawings had dark themes. They referenced demons, falling into darkness, and being insane. Her writings also occasionally made reference to Slenderman. Her mother said she had mental issues, but she never imagined anything like this would happen. The mother was treated for minor injuries after the incident, cuts on her face and neck, and a puncture wound on her back. Last I heard, the daughter is in the Hamilton County Juvenile Detention Center and was facing charges as a juvenile. In at 3, Slenderman visits you in your dreams. This story was shared by Reddit user Simply Ross. It reads, "When I was around 5 years old, I had a nightmare. The only reason why I remember after all these years, I'm currently 15 years old, is because I kept on having the same dream, but it would pick up where it left off. The first dream I had started with me in the woods and I was just walking. Then I saw a tall figure in the distance. It stared back at me. I remember thinking, why doesn't he have a face? He was also wearing black. He started walking towards me and I freaked out. Then I woke up. I had never seen or heard of Slenderman before. I mean, I was 5, I barely even knew what the internet was. When I was 8 or 9, I got into watching gamers on YouTube, and that was around the time Slender, the 8 pages, got really popular. When I first watched a YouTuber play it, all I could think was that's the guy from my dreams. At this point, I had already had multiple dreams of this tall faceless creature, so seeing him on the internet freaked me out. I continued to have these dreams that pick up where they left off, but not as frequently as I used to when I was younger. This is a true story. I truly have been through all of this and I don't know what it means. I don't think Slenderman is real, but it's like a part of me does want to believe. In at 2, Slenderman made me do it. Back in September of 2014, a 14-year-old girl in Port Richey, Florida was arrested after she allegedly set her family's house on fire. Authorities believe that the teen was inspired by Slenderman. She soaked a towel and a bedsheet in bleach and rum and lit it on fire in the garage. As the flames spread, she fled to a park close by and slept in a public bathroom. Thankfully, her mother and her 9-year-old brother escaped the fire safely. While their home was ablaze, their mother ran back inside to look for her daughter but couldn't find her. She was in the park. Their home completely burned down. Police found the teen in the park a little later when she told a detective she was reading a book called Soul Eater. She also told police she was reading about Slenderman and wrote in a journal about Slenderman. She was charged with attempted murder. And in at number 1, you already know what this is, it's the Waukesha stabbing. On May 31st, 2014, 2 12-year-old girls held down and stabbed a 12-year-old classmate 19 times after a sleepover. When questioned by authorities, they told police they committed the heinous act in order to become proxies for Slenderman. They also told police that Slenderman threatened to kill their families if they didn't go through with the murder. Both girls had spent months planning out their attack on their victim, reading online forums and stories about Slenderman. Until one day, the morning after a birthday sleepover, they tricked the victim into thinking they were going to play a game of hide and seek when they pinned her down and attacked her with a kitchen knife. But the 12-year-old victim didn't die from her 19 stab wounds. She crawled out of the woods barely alive and was found by a passing cyclist who called 911. She's still alive to this day. Both attackers are living out the next 20 to 40 years in mental institutions. Well guys, there you have it. This video was particularly freaky to research. I was trying to avoid looking at too many pictures of Slenderman, but now I feel like Slenderman is like ingrained in my subconscious. The more I don't want to think about him, the more he's there, you know? Have you had any encounters with Slenderman? Let me know in the comments. While you do that, I'm gonna wrap up this video with some common features. These are from our video, You Will Need Therapy After Entering Scariest Haunted House in the World. Cajun Brat said, I have heard about this crazy place. Who pays to go through something this serious? Safe word, pineapple juice. My safe word is potato. Elena Hart said, I've seen and heard about this. One year it was fully booked. People will go through this and even go back. There are a lot of videos online about it. That is something that I will not Google. Bertus Van Heerden said, are there clowns in there? I feel like that is my hell no limit. Yeah, I second that. No clowns at all. No clowns for me, ever. Yeah. Alright, Slenderman, let's do this, boo. Only this time the victims were 12 to 24 years old. Only this time the victims were 12 to 4 tough. And don't forget to stick around until the end of the video where we That is it for me. Thanks for watching. If you want to keep watching, check there's no playlist over here. That is it for me and thanks for watching. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want more. Stick around for some bonus content. And I'll see you in a future IO video.